Hey guys, Disney Fanatic here, and I am back. And it's been a while, but I'm excited to start up reviews again and everything. So basically, my first one back is going to be something I recorded a long time ago. It is a Fetch with Ruff Ruffman review. So here it is. I am a huge Fetch fan. I am a Fetch fanatic that just loves Ruff Ruffman. So let me talk about the show. When I first started watching Fetch, I was like, man, this is different. And when it first came out, I was like, I don't know about this show. I didn't even know it was from the creators of Zoom until I actually saw Taylor on the show. I actually ended up watching the first season and I ended up liking it. It just grew to me. And I've actually jumped around. I didn't watch the first season straight, but I enjoyed it. And after the first season finished and I still watched it, I actually started watching the second season and I actually watched it in full from May to June when it aired. And I fell in love with it even more. The second season grew. Once the third season came on, I actually just loved Fetch, and it was one of my favorite shows ever. And Blossom becoming Ruff's supervisor, sort of, was just a big part of the show, and I absolutely loved it. So, I just love the fourth season, and Fetch is actually what got me into television production. Blending in the animation and the reality all in one was just amazing, and it was just a great thing to see. So basically, when Fetch ended, I was devastated a little bit, but let me actually talk about some of my favorite episodes. BLT for breakfast, This Old Lemonade Stand, just those episodes were great. Season 2 brings Ruff's Big Break, one of my favorites. And then The Small Fork is for Dessert Unless You're a Dolphin. That I just thought was hilarious, because Grandma Ruffman is a dog, and she hates Ruff's manners, but she is all right at Kate. And then Tape the Loops and Loop-de-Loops. Since I love Disney as well, that show being taped in Disney World, I loved it. It was just great. And then Mr. Ruffman Goes to Washington. It was kind of fun to see a kid be a senator for a day. And one of my absolutely favorite episodes from season 3 was The People vs. Grandma Ruffman. The jury was real. It was obviously was WGBH staff, but it just was a fun episode. It was just a great thing to see. The Old Switcheroo, season 4 is canceled. Ruff pigs out and has a whale of time. Great episode. But then season 5, the final season. I'm going to get to Fetch being canceled in a minute. But season 5 was absolutely, I think, one of my favorites. Ruff fetches the Fetchers. Seeing how they auditioned for the show, the final audition before they get on, was pretty cool. I don't know if it was planned or what. I never talked to Jim Conroy on that. But it was just interesting to see how Ruff picked his fetchers, and he totally forgot about auditioning fetchers. Then there's How Much Frosting Can You Bear? Another great episode, and it was just kind of just funny and just fun. Snoop Dogg, it reminded me about a CSI show and just going undercover. And the Fetch finale. Well, the Fetch finale was one of my favorite episodes just because the series ended and it went off in a good mark, even though it had a bad production mark that it ended. So, Fetch overall was a fantastic show. And it was just a great show to watch and see. Anyway, as the show grew, I actually started getting into more television production and finding out how this show began. And I saw an article about how the studio segments were shot. And knowing that Jim Conroy does it from a booth inside the studio, which is pretty cool. And, obviously I don't want to reveal all the secrets that I actually do know and I found out to spoil the show, but it's pretty interesting to see how it all comes together. And Jim Conroy is amazing, doing all the studio segments in 2 weeks. He's just a great guy. So I guess Fetch has a heart in my plate, in my soul. But also, let's start talking about how it was canceled. Zoom was actually kind of canceled normally, sort of. But I think it was time for that show to end, and it had its good farewell. Fetch began fairly well, and it was stable. But I think once the fifth season wrapped, I think signs started trouble for the show. I don't know, but it seemed like Fetch had a good fan base. But I guess, according to Jim, it really didn't. But it was just, but anyway, Fetch was just amazing. So, in January, the casting was put out for season 6, and I was excited. So was Mikey, and we were like, awesome. So months passed. I tried to find out as much as I could about the auditions, and finally figure out where the show was in production and status of it. So after that, Fetch became my goal to follow the show in production. I started somewhat with the 5th season, but didn't get very successful. In April 2010, I found out that I saw the car on sale for the studio, and I was like, okay. And then I saw the mailbox on sale. I was like, okay, maybe they're updating the set. I don't know what's going on. After that, I basically started to wonder what was going on, and finally, in June, I asked WGBH on Facebook when it was beginning production, and they admitted it was finally canceled. Now, over 3,000 kids auditioned, and over 100 via mail auditioned. And this was totally unfair. Petition was soon started, with thousands of signatures from fans from all over the states, but I also knew that the show was in good place with fans. How the show was ended was unacceptable. I hope they do bring back Fetch, but I wish it did not get canceled that way. It's a shame that the kids that were on the show that got picked found out that they couldn't be on the show anymore. So it was a disappointment that day, but Jim Conroy put out a good message on Facebook, and the show, once the finale aired, I felt that the show ended a good way. He made it work, and it ended with respect, but it shouldn't have ended the way it did. I feel that they should have knew their funding before they started the auditions for season 6, or if it was the ratings and not have the auditions. That would have been acceptable to me, but the auditions was just not up to par to me. So after a whole bunch of other... So basically I want to start with the characters. Ruff Ruffman is absolutely my favorite, and once they started adding Blossom and Chet, I gotta say, the show just got better and better to me. The characters from Ruff's family, getting to know Ruff's family was amazing. Just every aspect. I'm not going to go into too much detail about the show, as Mikey is going to be doing that. But, so, I just want to say, hope Fetch does come back. Hopefully I get to produce a season 1 these days, as I'm in production class. But Fetch is one of these shows that will always be with me. And one day, hope it does come back, but not like the way it did with Bob the Builder. That I may have to save for another day. But anyway, Ruff Fetchers, hope you had a great time doing the show. And Jim Conroy, thank you for bringing us a fantastic educational show. I do want to say something else. When Fetch did come back, I actually was like, man, this show's better than Bill Nye the Science Guy, as I never liked that show. But it also lived up to another show I like, The Magic School Bus. And I hope they do make that movie. Mind Magic Studios, I believe, made a trailer, and it was amazing. So, hope Fetch does come back. Just bring back the show, please. Fans want the show. I know Jim says he has stuff in the works that he can't reveal, but yeah. And thank you, Jim, for adding me to Facebook, Jim Conroy. So have a great time, and hope you check out Fetch on Netflix or wherever you can. PBS Kids rocks, but Fetch will always be with me. So Zoom was great, but it doesn't have the same feel as Fetch to me. So thank you so much. I also love a lot of the Fetchers from the show. Sammy, DJ, all those Fetchers were great, and they all brought a personality that was amazing. And one other thing I wanted to bring up, a lot of people don't know that Murray, the camera dog, I love how they kind of incorporated that into the show. But a lot of people don't know that he actually died before the fourth season, sorry, that's why they brought in Tink. And, but, yeah, I understand. I wish they actually brought it up or put it in loving memory of that Murray. But I loved how they just kind of incorporated some of the behind the scenes, like Ruff, and that it wasn't an actual person, that it was actually a dog recording. I actually love that. And it was just great. And that wraps up my review on Fetch with Ruff Ruffman. Like I said, it was sad to see it end, but I'm glad it came back in some form years later. But we'll get into that another day. And let me know in the comments section what you want to see in future videos and what you thought of Fetch. This has been Disney Fanatic signing out.